think I heard the story of you driving into an ex's house.
Yeah.
And I was like, no shot. But you said it. And I was
like,
oh,
but also, can I clarify that story? Because now that I'm in my sober mind, I'm kind of like, wouldn't there be like a police report and pictures? Because people told me that.
That's why I also was. Oh, they told you that?
Yeah.
I was like, I would have saw that.
Yeah, there would be a police report.
I would have saw the fucking news.
It would be documented.
If you drove into a house.
That's what I'm saying. I know.
You never saw a house with damage.
No. And wouldn't that be pictures and stuff? And so that story spiraled.
That's sus.
That person told that story. And so I'm like, well, I guess that happened because he was never a liar. So I'm like, I guess that happened. But like, yeah.
It's tempting, and it's really hard not to grab your phone and be like, fuck you, like, leave me alone. But yeah, that was why I never said anything. It was just because of my kids.
She seems certifiable.
You know, I've never talked about it. She's a complicated girl. Like she's, I don't like to talk shit about my exes or women in general.
And I'm not asking. I guess that's not what I'm asking.
I do. I want to explain it to you so you understand. Like, I met her. She was like, we got along really great. It was a time in my life where like I was, like she was really into me. So I love that. She was really sweet to me. She loved me. Like, Trisha loved me so much, and so did her 17 personalities. You know what I mean? So it's just like, we started filming together, and that was cool. And we were doing really good. And then it just got to a place where it was just like, she was, I didn't like the relationship, and I couldn't get out, because, she threatened to ruin me and ruin all my friends. That's really what happened. And then eventually, she drove her car into my house and trapped me in my house for like 3 hours. So I really did try to like take care of her, and I loved her a lot, and it just got to be too much.
Basically, the night of my birthday, messed up out of my mind after my party. I was loosey-goosey around my party, but like paranoid, upset. Something had upset me earlier in the day, and I was upset. So here I am, like. So after my party, a bunch of my friends wanted to go out, but I was like, no, you know what I mean? I just wanted to go home. And I guess just talk with, this ex of mine. And it just didn't go well. And started to more heavily medicate, right? Didn't hear from him right away, so I was like, let me go. And the people I go to do these things with aren't like the people at my party. Like, these are people that, you know what I mean? So should I have just, hindsight, gone out with my friends at my party that were going out to gay clubs after? Probably. But I'm such an SLA, sex and love addict, that I was just like, and that's like the overall term, but love in general, that I was like, I want to talk to someone that I feel loved by intimately, not saying like to have sex with, but I'm just saying someone who knows me on an intimate level. I love friends and I love my family, obviously, but when you have like an intimate relationship with someone, for me anyways, it's a different level, right? I don't know. For me, it's like a whole different level. It's like more intense and deeper, and there's like a deeper connection and a deeper rooted issue and stuff. And so yeah, so at that point in time, like I didn't recognize myself. But what was so interesting, particularly about that night in our argument and stuff, was that I knew what I was like, I could see outside myself, right? Like I kind of knew, and I was like, whoa, this is not me. As opposed to the other times I'm like, I don't remember. This I vividly remember, which is like really weird. Really weird. And I think that's almost like a sign to be like, okay, I'm gonna make you remember this very vividly. So not to feel guilt, but it's like the universe being, I'm gonna make you remember this very vividly so you stop doing what you're doing.
I'm dealing with shit just because I don't show what's happening to me. Like, I haven't been vlogging. And even if I was, I'm not showing every fucking little thing. No one has any clue about the night of my birthday, about the events leading after? Do you think I give a fuck about internet drama when I'm dealing with all of this shit? I'm sorry if it makes me seem like I'm not compassionate or whatever, but the internet is only seeing what the internet is showing, and I don't give a fuck if everybody hates me. Like, I don't care. You guys haven't been in my life the past few months, in my real life, and the real life of what's been going on. The way I've been has been so scary, and the way I've been acting has been so scary and so not me.
Did meth twice this year. I haven't talked about this either. One put me in the hospital, and one was the night of my birthday. The first time I tried meth, I ended up in the hospital, and that was earlier this year.
Hey guys, so I can't even believe that I'm like talking about this, but I decided to put it behind the Patreon wall because my podcasts are kind of like a safe space for me. They don't get as much judgment. No one can accuse me of trying to talk about it for views or money, because it doesn't matter how many listens it gets on a Patreon. It's the same. It's the same every month. It's $1 every month for everybody. They get everything. So it just felt like a safer place to post about 2 incidences of when I was on meth, unknowingly at first. And once I was aware, I kind of just didn't care. Of everything have brought to light, this may be it's without a doubt the most embarrassing, awful thing I've ever done in my life. And it was humiliating and awful, the repercussions of it. I ended up in the hospital, and I was, not only was I ended up at the hospital, I remember my group of people I was with literally kicked me out the car and had me walk in by myself on meth. There's so much more to the story. Anyways, I'm saying all this to maybe one day it can open up a little bit more of a conversation, but I know the judgment on this, it would be very harsh. And right now people are like, you're lying about this, you're lying about that. And if people think I'm lying about taking some Percocets, I don't think I need to share my times on meth as recent as 3 weeks ago need to be broadcasted outside, just safely behind the Patreon wall. So that's why it's on Patreon. It's so fucking personal. It's very fucking personal, but anyways, it's up there. It's on trishyland.com if you want. If you think I'm a liar, there's no point in listening to it anyways. But if you want to know a little bit more about it, it's on there. I want to reiterate, I have been sober since May 9th. No drugs, alcohol, painkillers, nothing. I also need to reiterate that I have never been one to take meth or enjoy meth, nor did I enjoy it the last 2 times. But the fact that someone like me could even fucking be in that position to take meth and almost overdose is fucking scary. And the fact that I vividly remember both nights so clearly, like I knew I was fucked out of my mind, but I remember every detail of both nights so clearly. I don't know. Anyways, all right, that's it. Happy Friday.
You did have a pretty high profile breakdown. Let's call it, I don't know what to call it. It seemed like a drunken tweet storm.
Yeah.
And I know you do it quite often, but this
Always.
one was far reaching. It hit me, it hit Logan, it hit your favorite person on earth. Keemstar, fucking Keller, Williams, whatever the fuck.
Keemstar.
You hit I brought a realtor into it. You hit everyone. What was going on there?
Oh, I was addicted to meth earlier this year.
Shut up.
Wow.
I never tried meth before, and I tried it this year on accident, and then I would.
Have you said this publicly?
Yeah. Yeah, because I was 5150. I went to a mental hospital. Then I tried meth after that, and then on my birthday, I like got into like a meth accident, and then that was it.
It wasn't a drunken tweet storm. It was a meth fucking tweet storm.
Yeah.
And now it's not funny anymore. I feel like an asshole.
It's kind of funny. Like I always like say it because it's like now that I like look back at it, because like I mean I wasn't like addicted to meth, but I kind of was without knowing. I thought it was coke. I really did. I thought it was like rock coke. I thought it was like really just hard coke, and I didn't know the difference until I was like, oh, that was meth. When I went to like the hospital, I was like, oh.
What? Whoa.
How do you accidentally do meth thinking it's coke? Because obviously you smoke meth.
No, I snorted it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it was like in lines. Like I thought it was actual coke. It was like in lines, like cocaine.
Who the fuck gave you meth instead of coke? Was it fucking Dobrik? I'm assuming
Yeah,
it
right.
wasn't. I'm assuming it wasn't.
The
But
EC is very square, which is good. Square is good. We don't like drugs. We hate meth. No, just somebody.
Meth. That's a hard one to kick. How'd you get off?
Well, I wasn't like super. Okay, here's the thing. I say like addicted as like a joke. I wasn't actually super addicted. I probably only did it like 5 times. The problem is I abused it every time to the point of where I was like literally like compulsing. You know what I mean? Like I was just like this. You know what I mean? So like
Did you ever make videos on that?
I did, and it's unlisted. I should put it out. It's still with my old blonde hair and stuff like that. Like I did make. The only reason I didn't is because it did involve like. The reason Jason blocked me was like the night I was like on meth and stuff. So I kind of didn't want to like involve him so much. So I just didn't release it.
Mix. And then I tried meth for the first time this year when you did my videos, when I had that day you posted it was my birthday, and when I ended up in like the hospital for a meth overdose. So that was when, I literally was coming down straight from the hospital, like blood all over my face, like wiped off. And I saw the video and I was like, I'm responding right now. So in my head, I feel I haven't done drugs since May 8th, but I drink, but I don't do drugs. But and in my head at the time, I thought, I'm going to respond. This is like, I was like pissed about it. You know what I mean? So I have a adult podcast like thing that I was doing for a while. And I would just talk about literally, what did I talk about that I never talked about anywhere else? Oh, I talked about being addicted to meth on there. And I was like, it's fine. No one even listens to this shit anyway. So I feel like with a podcast, it's more unfiltered. Well, we're going to talk about that later. But
Was this the second time that you're saying that now?
I think I said it. I think I briefly mentioned it on Logan Paul's podcast. I did a whole video and I never released it. And it was like an 1.5 hour long video about why I was like loving meth this year, which is very not like me.
Did you say this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
My birthday party. After. Remember my birthday party? Oh!
Wow.
That's the tea. Oh my God, I got so much
Holy
tea.
shit.
Can we get Jason as a guest on this podcast? Because the tea at my birthday party is this. Jason blocked me that night.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I was on meth, and there was some tea to that whole story, but I feel like I should only say it if he's
It's
here.
crazy for me. Like I had no idea. I thought you were in perfect health and in great mood.
Yeah, no.
Huh.
I definitely was. It was weird. I got tricked. I talked about this a little bit on like my podcast that no one listened to, so this one maybe some people listen to, and I got tricked. I thought it was coke, and it was definitely not coke. It was like rocks up my nose. Have you ever tried it?
No.
Yeah.
Never.
I don't know. I thought it was coke. It felt like coke. I felt like I didn't. You know, meth sounds so hard. Like when someone says they're on meth or they have a meth face, you think, oh, they're so hard and whatever. But it just seemed like coke to me. I don't know.
We should get a couple of guests like that, though. I think
Meth
we
heads?
will. No. I just meant like fun, like Jason, stuff like that. To really
Jason
amp
has
this
like
up.
literally one step away from getting a restraining order on me. I don't think he'll be a guest, but
Maybe you can get it after the podcast.
me and Jason, when we were still talking after our breakup, I would say, oh, Jordan has some brand deals for you. And he tried to reach out to you. Even after that night, he blocked me and I was on meth at his house. I remember because my birthday was May 8th.
You went
and
over there?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then May 10th, he direct messaged you. Like,
My breakup was a little harder because we broke up February 5th and then I went immediately into a mental hospital. I have a whole story time on that. But for me it was a little harder because like he wasn't stringing me along and we weren't trying to work on things. I think those are like 2 very common misconceptions. People are like, well, you guys were trying to work on things, and then there's so many rumors about what happened the night of my birthday. People are like, oh, you crashed his car into this living room. There's so many like crazy rumors out there, and like really no one really knows what happened except for me and him, and maybe people he told. I don't know, maybe he told people, I don't know, but that did not happen. Like for 3 months we were still hooking up, and like I guess I talked to him pretty much every day on the phone. And he blocked me on my birthday, May 8th. And my behavior was erratic. It was not deadly or dangerous. People saying I crashed a car into his house. I went to his house. I knew that he was by himself. I knew his roommates weren't there. I knew his kids weren't there. So it's not like I was being like crazy. I had a key to his house. So, and like other times, I've just gone over there and like let myself in and we were totally fine and cool. We hung out. But this night was not that night. And I was just like banging on his door, like wanting to hang out because he said he was getting out with me. And obviously don't do that. Obviously don't just show up to someone's house. If they say don't come over, maybe don't do that. So yeah, I mean, it could have been a lot worse. He could have called the cops on me. I totally get it. I totally get him like blocking me for good because that's some crazy behavior. So that's basically what happened is I kind of just went over there. I was like, let me in. So that's scary. I get it. I'm giggling because it's like nervousness, and I'm not like, trust me, I am not saying like guys can't feel threatened. They totally can. I feel like he definitely was scared, thought I was unhinged. I totally get that. And maybe I was a little bit like having a breakdown. So then he blocked me, which I haven't talked to him since, and cutting me off completely, which was May 8th. The meth incident, as I like to call it, was only those few months that we were like I was still kind of clinging on to him and like hooking up. After that, I was pretty much sober. I was still taking some Percocets up until about June.
That turned me into someone else, and I don't know what to call that anymore. Call it bipolar. I don't know what to even call it anymore, but it switches. There is something that switches me when I get really angry, and I've done that to people I love in my real life. Oh my God. And I don't want to bring him into this, but the worst person that I've done it to is Jason. The night of my birthday, like last year, I switched into someone so different, and it was so scary. And I know I scared him so much. I don't remember. I remember just like being someone that wasn't me. I was banging on all doors. I was jumping in his pool at like 2 in the morning when he told me to go away. I don't know who that person was, and I never talked about it because it's so, that's what I'm saying, it's so scary. So from that moment, I was able to journal down like what I remembered. Obviously, Jason never talked to me after that, so I don't know the full details. I just wrote down what I remembered.
And last year, you said you were doing meth.
Oh yeah, that's when I crashed my car into a house.
So besides from the obvious that you see online and on front of me, and it is like an ugly side of being manic in the manic episode, one you didn't see was the reason my boyfriend blocked me a year and a half ago, which ultimately was the best for both of us. I got high on meth on my birthday, demanded he talk to me, and when he said he wasn't going to see me on my birthday and go to sleep, I drove over to his house super high, crashed into his house, banged on all the doors, jumped into his pool naked, kicked and screamed through every window of the house. He got so scared after 3 hours, he left, and I chased him in my car to follow him and got in a car accident. It's not pretty, it's not funny, but it's real.
What is the craziest way you got a guy to break up with you? I'll go first. I got super high on crystal rocks, and I crashed my pink G-Wagon into his living room, giving him no choice but to block me.
First of all, if they're going to accuse you of harassing and stalking them, there's literally no paper trail of that. There's no restraining order, right?
Because I listen to their podcast.
Yeah, that's stalking.
I mean, that's like what people keep saying. They try to say that I was like, I was violent towards David. I'm like, all this crazy stuff that I showed up to his house. I've never done that. I was like, there would be camera footage. The only thing I admit to is May 8th, 2019, when I went to Jason's house. That's like the only thing.
You did drive your car through Jason's house.
That's what she's talking about with like the brick through the wood thing. I admit to that. That part I admit. But to say that I was violent towards David or anything like that, like, and I admit to it. Like,
Dude, you drove your car through Jason's house?
Not like through it, but I was definitely like, I honestly was so high, I like literally don't remember. Like I just remember, I guess apparently I threw a brick through it, which is I totally believe. I don't know.
You drove your car? I believe you threw a brick through the window.
That. I was just like so fucked up. I was so fucked up. It was so embarrassing. And I admit, if Jason wants to sue me for that, like sue me for that. Okay, that I admit.
You've seen Royal Tenenbaums? You're literally the guy at the Royal Tenenbaums who drove his car into the funeral. You remember that, Dan? That's you.
Thank you.
To be fair, that is pretty good. That is a pretty strong mark against you.
Of course, but keep in mind, this is all after this. This is months later. That was May 8th.
I think I think people are they discredit you too easily. Or
sure, I get
the
it.
whole vlog squad just was on this crazy discredit campaign of you.
Well, and I get it. That's
and
another reason.
And you did drive your car high on meth.
But no
into
one
the
knew
car
that.
back.
That wasn't like a public thing. That was 3 months
I thought
after the
everyone knew
event.
that.
No, it wasn't like I made that
Because
public.
once you drive, with peace and love, once you drive your car high on meth into someone's house, it's hard to take them seriously.
Yeah, but that was 3 months after my first mental health. That was mental health hospital stay. That was like, anyways, I get it. And that's another reason why I try not to like put myself into situations, because a lot of times people don't want Trisha Paytas defending them. They're like, oh, Trisha's trash. Please don't defend me. You know what I mean? So I try not to white knight people.
You and I've done meth.
Yes.
You've done meth?
Yes.
One of the best drugs.
I don't know if that's my favorite drug. I'm not a meth head, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's a great drug.
But yeah, I had a couple overdoses and then I got in some like court trouble. So then I was like, okay, I need to like get sober. I don't remember a lot of things, but I was told that I crashed my car into my ex-boyfriend's house. I have no recollection of it, really.
Less than 30 minutes later.
Whenever I've gone through a manic low before, I've spiraled. I've gone deep down the rabbit hole of manic lows, and I've been able to pull myself up. And I think the biggest thing, and I've said this time and time again, from the first day of therapy, this is the true therapy of the therapist that I still continue to see. My first day of therapy that clicked for me, 2019, May 10th, 2019. I remember it so specifically. It was right after a meth crash on May 8th, being hospitalized. A series of unfortunate events were happening on the internet at the time. I was getting canceled for ghosting Nick Cotto. H3 made a video saying I looked like a corpse. PewDiePie was coming for me. This is an onslaught of just the worst week ever. I remember it so specifically. It was right after a meth crash on May 8th, being hospitalized. I remember it so specifically. It was right after a meth crash on May 8th, being hospitalized. My last relationship, I also threatened not only to kill myself, but like I attempted to try like to do some harmful behaviors in front of him. I don't remember a night. I just remember I was like really high on meth, driving over to his house. I've been told certain things. I don't remember a lot of it, so I don't want to repeat it because I don't want to repeat a wrong story, because now the story's been blown out of proportion with people who weren't there. The only people who know is me and this person. I have no interest in talking to this person, not even to heal the story. I just have to chalk it up to like, there was something I did very wrong in the situation. I was going to the extreme to show that I was going to be a danger to myself, right? Because it worked before. We had broken up in February. We had hooked up and seen each other throughout. And every time we'd hook up or see each other, I would start crying and I would say like, I have nobody in my life. And then when he would call my mom and sister, I would tell my mom and sister, don't respond. They didn't know what was going on. So they were like, okay. And I ran out his street naked. I tried to run in front of cars, like just because you know what? It would work. And he would stay with me. I remember Easter Sunday after we broke up, he came back, stayed with me at my place, like cuddled me. And I was like, this is all I ever wanted. So I just kept being more and more extreme. And I don't know who that person was. That's the scariest part of it. I was on heavy drugs, but not an excuse because I knew what I was doing. In a sense, again, that was manipulation, obviously. So, okay, you're asking about this. Okay, there's this whole thing. I'm not going to touch much on it. The whole crashing the car thing, that may not have never happened. It was a story that was started, and I was so messed up that night that I don't even know what happened. And I still haven't got any answers about that. So that story could be completely made up. I don't know. And I don't really like even talking about it because I don't get answers from it. And the person who started that needs to clarify that because I don't even think that happened. But no one knew that. That wasn't like a public thing. I made that because public. Once you drive. So I'm just going to leave it on that. Like I kind of don't even like that that's brought up. And yeah. Anyways, so you made it up though. No, it actually started from somewhere. And I always owned up to it because I thought that actually happened. And the more that I looked into it, and like the person who picked me up from like the hospital and stuff that night was like, where did you hear that account from? So I was kind of owning up to something that I thought was the truth, which I think someone just made up because I was messed up.
Someone just made up?
Yeah. And like really no one really knows what happened except for me and him. And maybe people he told, I don't know, maybe he told me, I don't know. But
and you did drive your car high on meth.
But no one knew that. That wasn't like a public thing. That was 3 months after the event. No, it wasn't like I made that
because
public.
Once you drive, I went
to a mental hospital in February of 2019. I kept seeing the guy that broke up with me for a few months after that, which was the worst thing for my mental health. And yeah, for a few months I was okay because we were kind of still seeing each other and I thought there might be hope or whatever. And then when there was no hope, because once again, one night when I was using, again, this night was so foggy and I don't want to retell this story because I don't remember most of it.
Flashback.
But what was so interesting, particularly about that night in our argument and stuff, was that I knew what I was like, I could see outside myself, right? Like I kind of knew and I was like, whoa, this is not me. As opposed to the other times I'm like, I don't remember. This I vividly remember, which is like really weird. Really weird. And I think that's almost like a sign to be like, okay, I'm gonna make you remember this very vividly. So not to feel guilt, but it's like the universe being, I'm gonna make you remember this very vividly so you stop doing what you're doing.
And the fact that I vividly remember both nights so clearly, like I knew I was fucked out of my mind, but I remember every detail of both nights so clearly.
End of flashback.
I remember what I was told. I remember what was texted to me. I remember, but there's not hard memories for me. So it was a blur.
Moments later.
I remember driving my vehicle to his house and just being destructive. I think that's putting it mildly, but and this is not like using this term loosely, but there was psychotic behavior, like actual psychotic behavior leading to another psychotic breakdown, which led me to another mental hospital, which
Less than 6 months later.
But also, can I clarify that story? Because now that I'm in my sober mind, I'm kind of like, wouldn't there be like a police report?
Yeah, there would be a police report.
Oh, right. Wouldn't there be like a police report?
And it just got to a place where it was just like she was. I didn't like the relationship, and I couldn't get out because she threatened to ruin me and ruin all my friends.
If we ever stop being friends, are you gonna talk crap about
Dude,
us?
I have so much about you.
What would you say about me?
Oh, I'm not gonna even tell you. If Jason and I break up, you better watch the fuck out.
Oh my God!
As long as me and Jason are together, I won't ever.
My manager also hinted that the club was a cover-up for a drug den. I told him I was going to expose him if he ever fired me. It's not going to be so funny when I come back and expose you all.
And then eventually, she drove her car into my house. And
what are you gonna do with your Lamborghini?
Crash into your new house.
I even dream at night about going back to my old club and just setting the place on fire or driving my car through the front and knocking it down.
She drove to my house in the middle of the night, saying she will drive into the building.
High and drunk and naked.
And same thing with Moses. Like, he didn't want to date me for months because I had so many crazy episodes, like crazy. Yes, I was on drugs, but it was also like, it was starting the voices and stuff like that. Just insane. Like, I would drive to his house naked, like all this crazy stuff, like just out of my mind.
And, you crashed into Target. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I've crashed into some things here and there. Some houses. Cause I'd find you.